If you're an independent, do-it-yourself musician like me, you've probably spent countless hours searching the internet trying to find ways to grow your music and grow your Spotify as quick as possible. There's tons of videos, tons of blogs, tons of gurus out there that'll tell you this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. But as someone who has reached 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify by just releasing instrumentals, I can tell you that there's really only 3 ways to rapidly grow on Spotify. And let's list them off right off the bat. The first one is content, going viral on social media, having one of your songs go viral. Number 2 is playlists. You're gonna have a tough time growing without playlists. Let me just say that. And the third one is collaboration. In this video, I'm going to break down all 3 of those, and then at the end, I'll show you how to put all of that together to really maximize your growth on Spotify. And by the way, I'm just saying Spotify because it's still the top platform, and it is the platform with the most artist tools. What tools, you may ask? We'll get into that later. Let's get into it. So number 1, going viral on social media. Listen, I'm here to talk about marketing, so I'm going to break this down, but I do want to preface this by saying chasing viral videos is not a healthy way to live. Let me just keep it at that, all right? But essentially, the number 1 way that any artist is blowing up on Spotify is they either created a bunch of good content about the song that went viral, or the more fun, interesting way is when someone else finds your song and makes a viral video with it, and then the song takes off through that. In my personal experience, let's say Steven Universe, for example, that's my top song and has nearly 50 million streams on Spotify. At the time, I was just making content of me making these beats, making these cartoon theme song flips. I would post them, they would go viral, but the songs would do okay in the beginning, but it wasn't until months later after I released the song where suddenly it started to go crazy. I haven't been able to track down exactly who kicked it off, but all I know is suddenly all the big cooking channels and all these different people on TikTok were using that sound in their videos, and then it just trickled and trickled and trickled. It got to the point where, if you're familiar with TikTok, a lot of people see a sound that's going viral and they just use that sound so that they can get viral. So I would often come across a video with completely different music, but they'll have my sound on there with the audio muted, just so their video can get ranked higher in the For You page or whatever. So going viral, I wouldn't say going viral is easy. It's kind of like the luck of the draw, but luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So let me break down how you can use social media to potentially go viral and get all those people streaming your music on Spotify and following you over there. And then I'll get into the algorithm benefits of that. But to boil it down in the simplest way possible, you just need to create good content around your music all the time. No days off. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. There's billions of people in this world, and there's millions and millions of people on these social media apps. And if you want these people to hear your music, you got to go to the apps where they're at. But you have to understand that you're also competing with tons and tons of other people that are also promoting their music and products and everything else that the people do on social media. So in order to get yourself a fair shot, you have to post as much as you possibly can, and the quality has to be as good as you possibly can make it. It's not easy, but the best thing you can do is find an artist that is already doing it well. Maybe they're in a similar genre to you, similar style of music. See what they're doing, see what works for them, copy it in your own style. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every single day. There's people out there that have already done it that you can learn from and figure out some strategy for yourself. Outside of quality and consistency, there's nothing else I can offer you. If anybody's trying to offer you any tricks and secrets to get from point A to point Z way quicker than the next person, half of them might not know what they're talking about. Because in reality, if you make good enough stuff and you post frequent enough, at some point, somebody's going to see it and it could take you to that next level. Sure, there's hashtags, SEO, and all these other things, but just start with the basics of that and you'll be golden. Now, here's where the Spotify of it all kicks in. When you're out there making content about your music, obviously you got your links in your bio, blah, blah, blah. But the Spotify algorithm, when it sees that you are bringing people onto the app from external sources, it likes that, bro. It's candy, you know what I'm saying? From my experience, all my songs that have gone viral on social media tend to get picked up in all these different algorithmic playlists and personal playlists, sometimes even editorial. Like my Steven Universe song had got into the viral hits playlist, which wasn't even just lo-fi. And then when you get people from external sources, they actually follow you on Spotify. So now, when you have your next release, it ends up in their release radar, and it's just a trickle effect of building fans from there on. So yes, making content sucks sometimes, but it's a necessary evil, and if you do end up getting a viral hit on your hands, it'll change your life. And I'm telling you this as someone with an instrumental that went viral. The way Steven Universe went viral, if that same amount of virality happened to a song with lyrics, I wouldn't have 50 million streams, I'd have 200 million or something. So it's a whole different ball game when you're actually singing and rapping and all that. Before we move on to number 2, it's also super important that you are also distributing your music to TikTok and Instagram Reels. And you can do that with our channel sponsor, DistroKid. If you're not familiar with DistroKid, it's the best and easiest way for artists to get their music up on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, TikTok, Instagram, all that. I myself have been using DistroKid for all of my music since 2015, and I haven't had any issues. My music is always released quick and on time. For only $22.99 a year, you can upload unlimited songs and get them into stores 10 times faster than any other distributor. So when you're uploading your music to all the streaming platforms, there is a section where you can choose the start time of where you would like the song to start on TikTok and Instagram Reels. So if you have a part of your song that you feel like is really going to be that viral moment, make sure to change that start point when you're distributing your track through DistroKid. You can use my affiliate link right below the like button for 7% off your first year. Shout out to DistroKid and thank you for supporting the channel. Now let's get on to number 2. Number 2, mastering playlists. Playlist. The reason why I put the order like this is because I didn't get on my first Spotify editorial playlist till I had a song go viral. So there wasn't really any tips or tricks specifically for playlists that I could give you up until that point. Now let me tell you, especially for my genre, lo-fi hip-hop, playlists can really be huge for growing your Spotify. For example, the first lo-fi playlist I got in, I believe, was lo-fi beats. I think that was one of the biggest editorial playlists for lo-fi, and I literally got like 1 million streams just from that playlist. And I'm talking rapidly, quick, because these playlists, a lot of people are relying on them. Like, I personally use these kind of playlists all the time just to discover new music and not have to choose what I'm listening to. So we know playlists are big for artists already though, like that's already a well-known thing. The real question is, how do you get on these playlists? Well, first, there's 3 different types of playlists that you want to focus on. Number 1, Spotify editorial playlists. These are usually the biggest because they're built into the Spotify platform. They're like the default go-to playlist on the app. Number 2 is user-created playlists. These are just people, curators, whoever it may be, making their own playlist. Lo-Fi Girl, for example, their chill lo-fi beats to study to playlist might actually be the biggest lo-fi playlist. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have like 6 million followers, and I released a song through them with Mondo Loops, and I'm telling you that song got like over 2 million plays within the first couple months just being in that playlist. But once they take it out of the playlist, dropped off the edge of the earth. So super powerful, and no partnership with Spotify at all. That's just them and their YouTube channel driving traffic to their playlist 24/7. And then number 3 is the algorithmic playlist. These are like radio, release radar, and all these kind of things. So the first one, editorial playlist, you can get into these by pitching your music directly through Spotify for Artists. A lot of people don't know this, which is surprising to me, but once you sign up, let's say you use DistroKid, it's super easy to claim your artist profile with Spotify for Artists, especially when you use DistroKid. But once you do that, you can view all your stats, yada yada. What you want to do is release your song at least 3 to 4 weeks in advance. Have a release date set out that long. Once it gets into the system, Spotify will email you and let you know that your song's ready to pitch. And if not, you'll just see it in the dashboard. You pick your genre, you write a nice little paragraph, use ChatGPT, whatever you want to do. And essentially you are pitching your music to real playlist curators. Now keep in mind that 20,000 songs are uploaded to Spotify every day. So the reason why it's kind of rare to get into these editorial playlists, because I personally feel like it's just luck. It's just at the off chance they might see your song at the right time and like it. I'm not sure if they see every single song that is uploaded to their system, but I don't think any other platform has this. I think Amazon might have a way to pitch, but yeah, that's the only way to get into editorials, unless you sign to a label or a song goes viral and they just pick it up. I've had success from that. A lot of people I know have had success from that, so definitely do it every time you release. Now, the user-generated playlist, that is more up to the fans. There's ways, you can go search up these playlists and see if there's an email and pitch your song to all these different curators. You could use something like Submit Hub, where you pay for some credits to submit. I haven't had much luck using Submit Hub, but that is an option. But outside of that, it goes back to number 1, which is creating content, building a fan base, and just doing whatever you can to get out there in front of the people that are making these playlists. My songs are in thousands of playlists that are just regular people just listening to their regular music. And that's a big stat for me. So definitely keep that in mind. And the third one, arguably more important than the rest, is the algorithmic playlist. Radio, Discover Weekly, and Release Radar. Release Radar is probably one of the most important when it comes to releases. So when you're getting people to your Spotify and they're following you and all that stuff like I mentioned before, every week there's a Release Radar. You got to make sure you pitch your song at least a week ahead of every release you do to get in this playlist. But essentially, yeah, this is like probably the easiest one to get into as long as you have some followers on there. And it's a nearly guaranteed way for a good chunk of your fans to know that you released without going to your Instagram, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Similar vibes with Discover Weekly. Now, radio, on the other hand, is more of kind of like the luck of the draw. You gotta have some songs kind of already doing well, kind of in a bunch of other playlists, and then eventually these things will start getting picked up and it can start driving some serious traffic to your Spotify. There's another key way to get baked into this radio category. We'll get into that in number 3. But lastly, Spotify does have the new discovery mode. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of stopped using it, but essentially they will put your songs into more of these algorithmic playlists and radio and stuff like that. They just take like a small percentage of the streams generated from these discovery platforms they put you on. Use it as your own risk. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer to just try it out if it is available to you. Here's a screenshot of a discovery mode campaign I did in August. So it says audience growth, 47,000 listeners, 21,000 new listeners. I don't want to say that I don't trust Spotify, but like I'm in a lot of these radio algorithmic playlists already. So I just wonder how much of these stats are actually from the discovery mode option. So yeah, use it as you see fit. Now let's get into the third and final strategy to grow on Spotify, and that is the power of collaboration. Now this one is a quick one because honestly, the reason why I put it here is because this is one of those ways to actually grow rapidly that not many people talk about. Obviously, build your brand, continue being great, get better at making music. Along the lines, you should be networking, and you might run into some people that are bigger than you but are willing to work with you. And when you work with someone who has a bigger platform or more monthly listeners, all that stuff is shared with you. So like I was saying with the radio algorithmic playlist or whatever, if you collaborate with a lot of people that make similar music that you do, let's say you do 5 collabs, that's 5 different chances that you have to get into their radio algorithmic playlist or their release radar. And once you get into their stuff, at some point it might trickle back to you. So it's either no collabs and you're just doing it all on your own. You collab with 10 people, that's 10 different opportunities to reach 10 different fans, 10 different areas, 10 different playlists, all that kind of stuff. And it's more opportunity to just become better because a lot of times when you collaborate with people, they might bring the best out of you. And to round it all up with collaboration, because I touched on how collaboration can help with the playlist, but it can also help with the social media portion of it. Not only are you sharing monthly listeners with your collaborators on Spotify, but you're also sharing your fans on Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media platforms you're using. You're tapping into their fan base, they're tapping into yours, which just breeds more chances for you to go viral. So to put it all together, if you go harder on social media, promoting your music, land on more playlists, and collaborate with more artists, you're almost guaranteed to blow. As long as you're doing all that consistently, that is. If you leave this video with anything, leave it with the double P's, all right? Patience and persistence, especially in the music industry. I was grinding so hard for 2 to 3 years before I got my first somewhat viral song. And then they just got bigger, bigger, and bigger, and bigger. And then I took a break. Now I have a great foundation, but as far as that virality goes, I'm almost back to square one now because I got too comfortable and I stopped doing things as consistent. So my goal is to really get back and get that fire back into me because I've done it before. I know I can do it again. Just remember that rapid growth takes hard work, and it might not be as rapid as you want it to be, but if you don't give up, you can't fail. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, sign up to DistroKid through my link in the description, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.